Hey, what's up, guys? I am Xavier Gomo, otherwise known as Mr. _Tech, and I'm actually back in another devlog. This time is a new project that I've been kind of posting on social media. Been working on it for a couple weeks. Or about a month now. I haven't actually touched it in like 2 weeks because I did a game jam, and I'm getting ready for another game jam, the Brackies game jam. Here, it might be in 2 days. We'll see when I post this video, but it's on Monday, like the 24th. Anyways, I'm starting out. I've already started the project. You've probably seen the alpha trailer, hopefully. And if you want to get on alpha testing, because I'm trying to test the initial game loop and everything, comment below that video, and I'll try to get in touch. Anyways, I am just setting up the crouch input. So as you already saw, I set it up with the new Unreal IMC. At first, I wasn't a fan when I had to use it for my game jam, but it's grown on me. But anyways, I realized while I'm working through this that there's two player models, and I was so confused because it started out as the Unreal first-person template, specifically the horror variant, but it's definitely changed a lot. I've touched most of it, obviously not all of it, and you've seen that content window. That's why there's so much and a lot of duplicates. So that's going to take some cleaning up to get, but it's not super necessary right now. So I just haven't gotten around to it. Anyways, I'm trying to see if there's a crouch animation. That's my next, when I get into this Brackies game jam, is I will have a team, but hopefully I can get into working on animations, learn that a little bit. But we'll have to see whether it's 2D or 3D, because I know that changes it back quite a bit. But I do eventually want to remodel the player and give it its own animations. So for now, I ended up just doing a workaround for crouching that pretty much just moves the player model down like 50 or 60 units, so that I don't have to worry about trying to figure out an animation and all that. I apologize for how much screen bleed there is. I am working on an ultra wide monitor, which I absolutely love, but recording it is kind of an issue, and I tried figuring it out, but I just didn't want huge black bars. So on the main Unreal window, I resized it to fit, but I just didn't feel like doing that for all the pop-up windows. So that's why it doesn't cut out too much. I mean, I got some variable names in the setup, but you guys are still getting the main content. And yeah, give me some feedback. Is this fine? Do you want me to work through it, give some bars, see. Anyways, right now I'm just setting up that input to move the player up and down. I ended up going from setting a height to using an amount that I can subtract and add, just so then I don't need like two heights for the crouch and uncrouch, because I'm really big on trying to keep everything as variables, so I don't have to hard code all of this, especially when I go and remodel the player model. I just want it to work super seamlessly, so I end up going with an amount. I figured that's the easiest, and I can go in and edit that really easy. So I'm just testing that, trying out some different options to make it a little smoother, whether it's with sweep. Found out it's not really it, so eventually I settled. And right now I'm just trying to integrate this in with the first-person shooter template, because it already has a running logic in it, and so I'm trying to set up the speed right now for how fast the player is going to be able to move while they're crouching. I'm testing if that recovering from the sprint is a good speed, and I end up deciding not. I end up giving it its own crouching speed, and here in a bit then I will also be working on trying to get the stop the player from being able to crouch and sprint, because I could have had like a sprinty crouch or just a slower run, but you're not a soldier in this. You're a caretaker that is trying to just find these orphans. You're not running around doing all this training, so crouching can be slow, and that's fine, especially because you will get the added benefit. I wanted to make crouching as a way to not get caught by the guards, or soldiers, because one thing that I've seen through playtesting a lot, just personally, is if those guards see you, it can be quite hard to lose them. So I wanted crouching as a way to lose them. So right now I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. I tried speeding up the video, but I didn't want to speed it up too much. So I end up sticking with this. I think it's up 4 times, but I guess we'll see how this does, and we need to go faster. Anyways, I'm setting up that crouch variable so then I can have it check to see if the player's crouching when they attempt to run. I set it here in the meter check, but that wasn't actually the correct place to do that. I mean, it was partly, I think, but it needed to actually be in the enhanced input. It was just that's one big problem. The Unreal templates, they're amazing, they're great, as a starting point, but some of the blueprints in them, and I'm not sure how C sharp is actual code, or sorry, C++, not C sharp is, but it can get kind of convoluted, kind of crazy because you haven't actually worked on everything, and so it just kind of gets confusing. But anyways, 1 second. Sorry about that. Anyways, it can get a little complicated, kind of confusing. But let's get back. I am now that I have the crouch all set up to my liking, I'm going into the AI soldier blueprint and setting it up to check if the player is crouching, and if they're not, then I can call to that caught function from the player. And I do end up adding a way for the player because I noticed, like, since it's on component begin overlap, which is great, that's how it should be, at least in my understanding. The one issue with it is if the player's already overlapping, then that function won't trigger. So I wanted to add a way to get it to still trigger, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. We're stopping the AI soldier right now from actually walking to the player when they're crouched and just going back to patrolling. Because it would catch them, but it would still keep moving towards them, and you'd be like right next to them. So that kind of negates what I was trying to do with crouching. And so we did that, and now I'm trying to figure out a way to set up when the player stops crouching to still get caught. So at first I was going to do it in the AI soldier, but then I was like, wait, I need to set it up in the player so then I can trigger it when they stop crouching without having to call some function or whatever. So I just created a variable that then will store the reference to the guard that is possibly going to catch the player, and if they are crouching when it overlaps, it just stores into that variable just to make it easy. I'm not constantly storing it every time, but only on the time that they're crouching, which granted it still wouldn't be that much and everything would be removed if they were caught and not crouching, but just some saving to storage and optimization, at least hopefully. So anyways, I did this close guard, checked if they're overlapping a actor. I'm trying to figure out how to do it because I wasn't sure if I wanted target to be something on the player and other to be the guard, but I ended up having to do target as the guard and then self as other. And for the keen-eyed among you, you may have noticed the issue that I'm going to have is that variable will be null if the player is crouching before they're ever caught by a guard, or within the radius of being caught by a guard, and something stored to that variable. I don't think I changed it in the video, but when I and when I finished up, I noticed that, and I just added it. It's valid check. Now I'm already moving on and almost getting behind now. So the next step I wanted to do is add a loading screen, because I did notice in the build version, didn't notice this in the editor, but in the build version, the assets were still loading for a second, and you could see them load in, and I thought it was ugly. So I wanted to add a quick little loading screen that would play before the player actually can see anything in the level. So I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do that. Initially, I was going to add that just to the UI. Then I was like, wait, I should add another UI widget that's just the loading screen. And then on begin play for the level, I will run that loading screen and then run the player UI, because there are some scripted events that are based on time in the player UI just to show those tutorial items. And I didn't want to have to delay those and worry about those popping up too quickly then. So I created this. I ended up keeping that loading bar. I know there's the 3 dots kind of bouncing around, one you can use for loading. I honestly forgot what they're called, and I just didn't want to look it up. So I used the loading bar. I just set it to 0%, and then I believe I ended up looking around for this timer function, because then I wanted to add a timer that every, I think it was like 0.1 seconds, it will call the event to add a percentage to the loading bar. And I just experimented with the percent add. I believe it was also 0.1%, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, I do end up changing the timer to be faster, so the bar would kind of load faster, but still pretty smooth. I might actually increase this. We'll see as it pops up. I honestly didn't record. I recorded this probably 5-6 hours ago. No, it was probably like 8 hours ago now, but I haven't watched it back, so I'd have to see. But right now I set it up, and then I just had it check to see if it was at 1 or 100%, and if it is, then it'll just stop adding to it. Because I'm not entirely sure if that can overload, but I didn't want to keep adding to it if it's already 100%. And then I'm just adding the UI to it's actually to the player controller, sorry, not the level blueprint, just so that it will run the loading screen, and then it will add the UI, and everything else will then run from there. I added a delay and then to the end of adding the loading screen, and then I realized that the delay should have been somewhere else. But sorry, I also added a delay to be in a loading screen, just a short delay, so it's not already loading before it even pops up. There's just a little bit of a delay, so 0.2 seconds seems to be good, just to have it loaded up into that level before you run any UI elements. And so I'm just playing around with it. I was trying to add a blur. I honestly couldn't figure out if I could resize the blur, if the blur was supposed to be a black background blur. So I was trying to see if there's a way to resize it. I had it 100%, so it should have been blurred, and I was not seeing anything blurred. So eventually, I gave up and just added black screen. Yeah, that's for a loading screen. Black screen is good. It did not need to be blurred. I just thought it might be a cool effect, where it would still hide the loading, but you could kind of see the atmosphere. And then I'm just setting it because the game does have a 4:3 aspect ratio, which I quite like. I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, but I do feel like it does help add to that PSX style. If you guys didn't already know or weren't already guessing, it does kind of a PSX style. But anyways, I'm just playing with that delay and how long it loads. And when I ran the delay and then realized that the sequence, it's really nice, except for it will go to the next one if you have a delay. So I just added a delay in front of adding the widgets, and now we're going to do that final test. And we are already to the end of the video, guys. That actually went very quickly, so thank you guys for joining. I'm not entirely sure how soon I'll have the next devlog, because I will be doing a game jam next week, but hopefully I can pump one out over this weekend and then just have it in the back catalog for next week. So come check around next week, comment below if you want to get into the alpha testing, and without further ado, I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.